Well, hello there. Welcome to Pretty Girl Loves Trap content. This is my recap slash review for Bel Air Season 1, Episode 5, PA to LA. You guys, this is a good episode, and I hope you guys liked it. I'm really feeling the spin that they put on the original series. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this series and this episode. But this was pretty good, y'all. It's heating up. We see some things are brewing. So yeah, let's get on with the episode, okay? So we start off, okay? Will has picked up his boy Trey from the airport, okay? And Trey, he is very enamored by the sights of LA. LA is a beautiful city. I can attest to that. So yeah, he's looking at all the palm trees, all the nice houses. Yeah, he's definitely feeling what he's seeing. So meanwhile, back at the Banks residence, we see Uncle Phil. He's helping Hillary pack up the pool house because she is moving into the influencer house. So we also learn that she is planning a dinner with her future roommates and the family. So it's going to be a cute little collaboration so everybody can meet one another. And Will and Trey, they arrive at the house, and Trey, he's impressed. He was like, dang, Will, like, I didn't know y'all had it like that. And he was like, yeah, it's going to be hard giving this all up when you come back to Philly. And so you see, like, a look on Will's face, like, he was quite hesitant because he probably wasn't even thinking about going back to Philly since he was kind of enjoying the taste of the good life in LA. So, now his wheels are turning like, ooh, do I really want to go back? Like, I don't know. I'm having a whole little Cinderella moment up in here. I don't know if I want to give this all up. So we see Aunt Vivian. She is pretty much trying to gather some inspiration for a new painting that she is working on. And so Trey and Will, they enter the room, and Trey has brought Aunt Viv a little welcome gift. It was apparently some cookies from a famous spot in Philadelphia, and she is very appreciative. And I was like, good job, Trey and Trey's parents. Okay, you guys have manners. Okay, that's how you come up into somebody's house. Okay, you don't come empty handed. I mean, that's the least they can do since Trey is probably gonna be eating all the bank's food and running their electricity up and their water up. Like, like I really like that gesture. Okay, it goes to show that Trey, he has an okay upbringing from that little gesture that his parents gave Miss actually Aunt Viv. Okay, so we see Trey, he's mentioning like, yeah, we can't wait to have Phil back in Philly. And so Viv was like, well, if that's what you want. So it looks like Viv is kind of getting used to Will being around as well. So yeah, the family is really taking a liking to this whole arrangement. So we are introduced to Uncle Phil's campaign manager, okay? And his name is Steve, who is played by Dwayne Martin. And I was just like, oh, where he come from? Like, y'all, I have a little bias against Dwayne Martin since, he did your girl, Tisha Campbell wrong, but we're not gonna go there, all right? But I forgot Dwayne Martin and Will, they are very good personal friends. So yeah, good job with the alley oop. Will, okay? So we see that Uncle Phil's numbers is all the way up. So yeah, he's doing good numbers on the poll. So yeah, they're discussing the little celebration or what have you. And so we see Will, he comes in and introduces Trey to everyone. And Trey is kind of getting a little a little spillage of the mouth. Okay, so he is reminding me of how Will was when Will first came and just started, just divulging way too much information. So yeah, Uncle Phil, he kind of started the conversation, was like, hey, I know you've been through a whole lot with your ordeal and, being shot or what have you. And so, of course, Trey is engaging him. So Steve is looking like, what's going on here? Okay, like I'm a little lost. But yeah, I don't know how much Uncle Phil told Steve about the situation, but I hope it doesn't end up biting them in the behind because yeah, Steve got to keep my good eye on him as well. Okay, we don't know if Steve could be trusted all the way. All right, so Uncle Phil mentions like, hey, I got tickets to the D Smoke concert. And so, the boys are hyped. So I'm like, okay, way to, move your weight around, Uncle Phil, trying to relate to the boys. So I definitely appreciate that. I'm all about, being a good host when someone comes to your house. So good looking out on that. So we see Aunt Viv and Aunt Vibe. Okay, they're FaceTiming each other, and Aunt Viv was like, "Hey, Vi, like, what do you think about Will staying? He made a great impression on Will's Uncle Phil's fraternity brothers, and there's possibility for some internship options, and he has a great situation here. Like, I think he should stay. And of course, Vivian is not trying to, no, actually, Aunt Vi is not trying to, hear it. She was like, I'm not done raising my son. Like, he needs to come back home. And I'm like, girl, he's what, almost 17? Like, you did a good job thus far. I mean, it's okay to let somebody else, take it. But I guess, it's been them two for so long. She does not, you know, want to lose her son just yet. Okay, so I'm not too mad, but I do see both sides of the situation. So we see Trey, he's in Will's room. He's pretty much dismissive of everything regarding Will in LA. He's looking at the books Will is reading. He was like, since when you read, like, what's going on here? And Will was like, no, that's a really good book. Like, don't knock it. And so, Will was like, okay, we got to get dressed for dinner. And Trey was like, what you mean we got to get dressed for dinner? Like, what's going on? And Will was like, this is what we do here, okay? We get classy and fancy when it comes to dinner. It's just the way things are. And so Trey was like, dang, like, you getting all bougie now. Like, what's going on? But Will, he's like, no, like, I'm not being bougie. Like, this is all right. It's kind of cute that we doing this. Like, my boy, calm down. And so, he see Will's Bel Air jersey laying around, and he's, pretty much making fun of that. And Will is, keeping for his team. Was like, no, we got a good little squad going on here. Like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to calm down with the insults. But Trey was like, okay, so why are you so attached? Like, and Will asked, like, hey, how was the team in Philly doing? And Trey was like, y'all, we struggling, okay? So it's definitely showing that Will's presence has been missed. But yeah, I can tell like Trey is not looking good for his situation. And I'm thinking, he's salty in a few different ways. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little more later, all right? So we see, Will, he approaches Hillary and he asks Hillary for advice. Like, hey, do you think I should go back to Philly? I'm really starting to, like LA. And she was like, hey, whatever you do and whatever decision you make sure it's your own decision. Okay. So do not let anyone influence that. And that was some great advice. Like, Hillary is definitely coming in the clutch. She's probably one of my favorite characters besides Jeffrey. Okay. So we see the parents, okay, they are prepping for this dinner, and Aunt Aunt Viv did not do any research in terms of who's coming over because Hillary, she sent a prep slash introductory email explaining all the guests that are coming. But Aunt Viv, she's not trying to like learn about this influencer life. Okay, she is old school and she does not respect the situation. But Uncle Phil, that's his baby girl, so he read the email and he started, letting Viv know what's going on and who's attending. And yeah, some pretty hard hitters. Like, every person that is attending has a large following. They're making the money. So yeah, Hillary's new roommates is definitely on and popping, okay? So we see the dinner set up and it's beautiful. Like, the decor, like, Hillary did her thing, or whoever she hired, child. So we see Trey, he over there sneaking drinks. I'm like, Trey, like, you smoking the weed, you drinking the liquor, like, you're going down a path of destruction, my boy. Like, I'm gonna need you to calm down. So Trey ends up spilling the beans, all the beans, pinto beans, black beans, like all of the beans to Carlton about Will's situation, how Uncle Phil helped him. So of course Carlton, he's just got hateration all over his blood. And so he pissed now, and he's kind of looking at, the parents like, really, y'all doing all this for Will? So yeah, he's tight right now. And after the dinner, we see everybody kind of breaking off into their own individual conversations. So we see Aunt Bev, she's talking to the travel influencer, and they're having a good conversation about traveling. We see the father, he's having a good conversation with like a brand strategist influencer. And he's really caping for Hillary, just telling him how much he's proud of her and that, she can do no wrong with this decision. And then we also see Ashley, and she's talking to this sex positive person. And yeah, Ashley's asking a lot of questions about sexuality and labeling and all these things. So we're seeing these little nuggets about Ashley. So, it's kind of interesting what spin they are putting on this family, all right? And, Carlton, his vibe is off. So he ain't talking to nobody, and nobody wants to talk to him, okay? And so Will, he's talking to the pranksters, and, they have a little rapport talking about basketball. So everybody is, just mingling with each other. So after dinner, y'all, Carlton goes into Uncle Phil's office, and he was like, "We need to talk." Like he, his wife or something. I'm like, "Oh, you need to calm down. Like tone your voice. Like you are the child. Calm down." So he pretty much like, just says, "Hey, like, did you really like do all this for Will?" And so Uncle Phil, he kept it real. He was like, "Just sit down and I'll explain everything." So he explained the situation, and Carlton was like, "You really broke the law? You really broke the law for Will?" And he was like, "Hey, if I didn't do it, he would be in jail for a very long time." So Carlton, he don't care. Like he frustrated. So he ain't trying to he's not trying to understand anything that Uncle, Phil was talking about. And I'm like, Carlton, like, stop being selfish, okay? Like it is not cute. But he really is showing Uncle Phil like, hey, I don't really respect you or your word anymore because you over there pretty much on your high horse always telling us to take the high road, and here you are breaking the, the law from somebody we ain't seen in 10 years. Like make it make sense. But Carlton, he for self, he got his own issues. So that's really not, hard to believe at this point. But Uncle Phil made sure to tell Carlton, keep this to yourself, okay? Because if this comes out, it's going to ruin everyone. But y'all, I don't trust Carlton, okay? Carlton, the fact that he has this secret and this information is not a good thing. Like everybody's going to have to be walking on eggshells now because they're going to be scared of what Carlton's going to do. And so we see Carlton storming in Will's room. Okay, real, he's doing his stuff. This he is over there reading, okay, because reading is fundamental. So Carlton, he was like, I know what you did last summer, and I'm like, calm down, like Carlton, like take a chill pill, okay, or go sniff some Xanax, whatever you've been sniffing, okay. So he pretty much told Will, like, hey, stay away from me when it comes to school, when it comes to home, and stay away from Lisa, okay? She do not need to be wrapped up in any of your BS, okay? And so I'm like, Lord, this is too much, okay? So Carlton, we see him helping Lisa for the fundraiser. Her mom died of lupus, so the family is allowing her to use their home as a location to have the fundraiser for the party. So, Carlton low key is pretty much doing this because he's shisty and he wants to get back into her good graces, okay? And so we see Trey and Will, and they're outside, and I don't even want to call it a yard. Like, what is this? A forest? I don't know what it is, but it's some acres going on up in there. Okay, and so Will tries to divert Trey into a different direction, but of course Trey don't listen. So he ends up introducing himself to Lisa. He was like, "Hey, I heard some good things about you," but Will wasn't really giving Lisa any play, and she noticed like, hey, what's going on with Will? He's a little distant, but of course they can't really explain what's going on at this point in time. So y'all, we arrive at this D Smoke concert, okay? He's a rapper, he's from Inglewood, and they have the VIP access, okay? They have the good food, they have the good, drinks, like it's really on and popping up there. Like, Uncle Phil, you got some connections, all right? So, they're in the hallway, they're, making their way into the suite. But Uncle Phil was like, y'all go ahead, I got some business to take care of, okay? And so Will, he meets with Councilman and Lisa's dad. And y'all know I hate Lisa's dad. Like, yeah, I smell all the hater isms from afar when it comes to him, okay? And so they're pretty much not happy about his defund the police stance, okay? And of course, he's the chief of police, so yeah, there's gonna be some oppositions there. So they're pretty much asking Uncle Will, like, hey, we're gonna need you to change your stance because we are not happy about that. And there's gonna be some consequences if you don't do what we say. And Uncle Phil was like, y'all not gonna play me. I do what I want. Okay, I am a grown man. Okay, so yeah, this is gonna be interesting because I got a feeling that Lisa's dad is going to be looking into the situation with Will because he was very suspicious from the moment he laid eyes on your boy Will. Okay, so we see Aunt Vivian. Okay, and she's at the art gallery, and yeah, this dude Reed Roderick, played by Michael Ealy. I ain't feeling him, okay? But he is feeling Aunt Viv, okay? He brings her the wine. You could tell he's telling her all of the right things. And pretty much he's telling her everything that she wished Uncle Phil would. So, he's low key feeling that emotional void that, Aunt Viv has been feeling. So I'm like, Aunt Viv, please do not drink his get out tea, okay? We don't need you to be going down that road of infidelity, girl, because we can't have this drama up in the Banks household. So stay away from your boy Reed, okay? He is no good, I can tell, okay? He's real creep-ish, all right? So he pretty much reserves a space for Aunt Viv in his art gallery, y'all. So we're going to see what's going to come of that because he can't be trusted, okay? So y'all, we back at the D Smoke concert, and so Will and Trey, they gather and get their food, they sit down, get comfortable. And so Trey was like, it's gonna be hard giving all this up, like, whew, yeah, we living a life right now. And Will was like, you know, even if I stay all year and you come to visit, like, we're gonna be living like this all the time. And so Trey was like, what you mean if you stay? Like, Rashad's dead. Like, we no longer have to like have you out here. And so Will was like, well, it's the middle of the school year. Like, it may be a little easier for me to hang out here. So immediately Trey is pissed, okay? Because, Loki, he misses Bestie. And I'm not sure, if they're going to delve into this, but you know how it is when your friend's a star basketball player, and if your team is doing well, and if Will's getting scouted, he probably has, other scouts looking at other team players. So, it may be opportunity for, your boy Trey to be seen to go to a college as well, too. So it seems like he may be dependent on Will for a number of things. But yeah, Trey, he knows his friend. So he was like, it looks like you already made up your mind. Looks like you want to stay here. And so, of course, he gets pissed and he pretty much stops talking to Will for the rest of the concert. I'm like, ooh, y'all could have waited. Like, these tickets probably expensive. Like, y'all can't be doing that. But anywho, Trey. So we're gonna get to Ashley, okay? Ashley is at the house and she asked Hillary to sit down and have a talk with her. And she was telling Hillary, like, hey, I have a little crush. And she was like, okay, what's the person's name? And she, told her the girl's name. So you can tell Hillary was a little thrown off, but she wasn't judgmental. And, she was pretty much explaining, like, hey, I'm very supportive of your decision. If you are gay, she's like, well, I don't know if I'm gay. I haven't ruled out boys, but I'm only 12. So I'm trying to figure this thing out. But I'm not going to tell our parents because I'm still trying to figure it out. So, that's very mature of Ashley, with her, understanding how, those things work. And she doesn't want her parents to just think it's a phase. So that's a very smart move. But Hillary did offer her, like, hey, whenever you need to talk, I am here for you. So I'm definitely glad that Hillary is going to be there and kind of help, possibly help Ashley figure this thing out. So back to the party planning session with Carlton and Lisa, okay? So we know how Carlton is. He always have a motive, okay? So, Lisa's thanking him like, hey, your parents don't have to do all this for me. Like, I really appreciate it. And so before you know it, like Carlton's over here trying to put his tongue in her mouth. And she was like, bro, like what you doing? My feelings ain't changed. So Carlton was like, oh my bad. Like, but Lisa was like, no, access denied, bro. Like, no. And Carlton, he's one of those dudes. He thinks, if he does something for somebody, they gotta repay him. But Lisa, she got her eye on Will and whatnot. Okay, so we back at the house. Okay, and Trey, he's still salty about the whole situation, and yeah, he's pretty much telling Will like, you just pretty much trying to leave my broke behind. You came out here and you came up. You're pretty much rich now, and what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, Lord, Trey's just been a hater the entire trip, okay? And so he pretty much says, hey, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. So they end up having a little tussle. And he says, I want to go home. And I'm like, ugh, Lord. So, yeah, Will goes to Viv and tells her, like, hey, Trey, we got into it and he wants to go home. She was like, all right, baby, we'll make the arrangements. And she finished the project that she was working on. Is a picture of 4 African American girls. It's very beautiful. Like, I really love that painting, but I'm trying to think, like, is it really a creative block she was experiencing, or did she just need that encouragement that she received from Reed? Like, I'm thinking, like, maybe if Phil was more supportive towards her, maybe she would have been able to get those creative juices flowing a little earlier. What do you guys think? Sometimes all you just need someone is to pour into you in a positive way to get you, on your game. So I think that's kind of what happened here. But yeah, you guys let me know. So y'all, the campaign manager, aka Steve, aka Dwayne Martin, he's telling Uncle Phil like, yeah, you are the talk of the internet, okay? And he was like, why? He was like, well, it's good and bad, okay? Good thing, yeah, there were cameras at Hillary's party, and yeah, the little snippet of you going to bat for her was released, so it kind of makes you, a little more human to the public. But yeah, the information and that meeting and speech that you had regarding defunding the police, that went public as well. So yeah, you played it too far to the left. Therefore, it's going to be hard for the donors to really continue to support you. And so Uncle Phil was like, well, good thing I got a black card and I got millions in the bank, okay, because I could fund my own ish. I was like, all right, put the big joker on the table, Uncle Phil. Like, tell him you don't care and you ain't playing, all right? So we have the scene with Will and Trey there outside the mansion, and the car pulls up for Trey, and they have this really emotional, touching scene because it looks like their friendship is pretty much ending, and that's kind of common, when you get of age. And you tend to kind of learn more about yourself, or if one person get exposed to something that the other person did it, like it does possibly have the tendency to cause a rift in a friendship, but that's the natural part of life and growth with humans in general. So what they're going through is kind of common, honestly. But yeah, they have been friends since they were like 8 or so. So I can understand the grief that they're feeling, but Will, he doesn't want Trey to leave on a bad note. And he was like, hey, I just learned that there's more to life than Philly. And Trey was like, well, not for me. And so, that goes to show like they definitely have different outlooks on life. But honestly, Will had that same thought process before he came to Bel Air. So it sometimes just takes that exposure for you to really just expand and open your horizons. But Trey ends up leaving. So yeah, that's probably going to be the end of Trey, at least for now, right? So we see this touching scene between Hillary and Vivian. They've been at odds. And Vivian pretty much told Hillary that she is proud of her. And that's all your girl Hillary wanted to hear, okay? And yeah, it seems though that their relationship is kind of getting better at this point. And so the last scene, Will calls his mom, and he pretty much told her, like, I don't think I want to come back right now. I want to see what LA has to give. And of course, she's a little salty. I mean, that's going to put her in a position where she's going to be alone, and she's not used to that. She's used to being Will and her. And so, sorry, mama. But yeah, Will, he made a grown man decision, and I am proud of him for that. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the episode. Let me know what you guys thought. I'm loving it. I mean, we have what, 5 or so more episodes left, so I'm definitely interested in what the rest of the season is going to give. I think they stated that this show was also picked up for season 2. So yeah, it's going to be more drama to come. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.